Hi, I'm Paige Dauer of Full Disclosure Productions, and you're watching No Playbook Podcast.
All right. Thanks so much for checking out the show. It's the podcast featuring the outstanding athletes, coaches, and experts, all from East Tennessee. Today, Paige Dauer joining me on the show definitely fits into that expert category. Broadcaster, talks a lot about sports here specifically in East Tennessee. She loves the Vols, so I'm very happy to have her on the show. I was a broadcaster myself, a radio guy, so that's kind of why I started the show. But I just love speaking with other broadcasters and folks that have a history in the field so they can talk about their experiences. Paige does that today on the show, talking about just some of her favorite memories, some cool things she's gotten to see from behind the scenes. And of course, we talk a lot about the Vols. This episode is sponsored by Stinnett Collision. If you're in need of automotive repair, give them a call. They've got locations in Sevier County and in Maryville. Again, that's Stinnett Collision. We'll get to Paige Dauer right after this. Sit tight.
Hi, I'm Zach Stinnett, third-generation owner of Stinnett Collision. As a proud supporter of Tennessee athletics, we know that every game counts. When a collision puts you out of play, we're here to get you back in the game. Family-owned since 1965, Stinnett Collision now has locations in Maryville and Sevierville. With double the space and a team of certified technicians, we'll tackle your repairs and get you back on the road in no time. Don't let a collision sideline you. Visit Stinnett Collision today.
Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
it's going well. How are you doing?
Very good. I actually just watched a video of you probably wearing that same thing, talking about Joey Aguilar
Yeah,
from yesterday.
probably. Sunday mornings are always so busy. I figured, do a post-game report at the stadium and then just do another one Sunday morning. So fast turnaround, but you get a lot done that way.
That's such a part of the business that you're in too, that a lot of people probably don't think about. Like actually enjoying the games is secondary.
Oh, for sure. And it's funny, like when I was at WVLT, I would be on the field shooting the game. So that was a lot of fun. But then after the game, I'm like, wait, like what happened in that game? And now being up in the press box, I'm like, oh, okay, I see the game a lot better, but I have a ton of FOMO not being on the field.
Wow. I'm
So,
good friends with Tyler Ivins. I believe you know
yeah,
him.
okay, love Tyler. Yeah.
We so actually we got so I was on the air for Star 102.1 and Tyler was on Hot 104.5.
Okay.
And those studios are right beside each other and we work together a lot there. But anyway, I talked with him and I think about like sometimes they gotta go to bed because they're up so early. And to watch a game that was up late, like they're gonna have to get up and watch this
Uh-huh.
film so they can speak about it.
Yeah, it's tough for sure. So I don't envy the people on radio in the morning shows to have to know about what happened during like a 8 p.m. game or something. So
Yeah, and I would imagine sports folks get the same thing, but at Star, we would get these printouts that we could print. They were available at like 5 a.m. and they would have like any relevant pop news, or you could select what you want. It would kind of give you bullet points, so you could see what happened overnight, and then you
okay.
could choose to look it up or whatever if you were interested.
Okay, well that helps because I was like, how do they have this? There's not enough hours in the day to watch all of that, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, first of all, tell me about what it is you're doing now. So you were with VLT, and what is the project? What is Paige doing daily now?
Yeah, so I was at WVLT for 2 years, and there was an opportunity to maybe go out and do something on my own. So I decided to not renew at WVLT and just take a chance on myself. I really have enjoyed my time in Tennessee. So I decided to launch, it started as a podcast, full disclosure, and then quickly we have a website, we're on YouTube, but all the social media platforms. So really quickly turned into kind of like a media outlet. So I've been doing that about 16 months now. And it's really been very fulfilling. But yeah, just saw an opportunity in the market to start a new channel, new podcast, new media group, and it's been pretty fulfilling since.
Well, what does that journey look like for you? So did you go to school for it, and how did you end up in Knoxville doing sports?
Yeah, so I think, for me and my entire family, we have been pretty sporty, pretty athletic people growing up. So sports has always been kind of a part of my life, whether it's like back when I was in grade school playing soccer, which that never really lasted very long because I was always offsides. And I never really knew like what offsides meant in soccer. So soon my parents found, they're like, oh, Paige, you're pretty fast. So as soon as they could, they signed me up for track and cross country. I swam competitively for our country club team in the summer, and that kind of was that avenue. But then being the oldest of four siblings or four kids, my parents wanted me to enjoy football Sundays with them. So just started watching NFL Sundays, listening to at the time Aaron Andrews, and also a little bit with like Ali LaForce, and really enjoyed the insight that they provided to the game. And when it came time to figuring out like, oh, what I should do as a career, I saw journalism as an option. So went to school for journalism and spent time in South Georgia in my first market. And that was a really great community, and then made my way here.
So I thought you might be able to help with something specifically. So I talk with athletes, many of them, it's their first ever podcast interview. A lot of times it is. So like last week, I spoke with Gabriel Ascenda from uh, Baylor, and he's a 4 or 5 star commit. He's going to be coming to Tennessee. He'll be doing a lot of interviews, but those are kind of long form. Your interviews are getting like sound bites, and a lot of them are sideline reporting, and they're more kind of quick to the point interviews. What advice as a broadcaster do you give to someone that might be coming into a season where like they're going to be seeing their first interviews on a sideline? There are so many people I see that are super nervous, or they're just self-conscious about what to say. What does your perspective show for that?
Yeah, I think, just how everything goes, it's all about film study, doing homework. So, as much as I enjoyed watching Aaron Andrews growing up, I think for these athletes, especially if they have a little bit of stage fright, which it can be a little intimidating. Like right now here at Tennessee, you might have like 15 cameras on you, and we're all surrounded in a scrum right on top of you. And I could see how that could be a little intimidating. So, I would say the best advice that I could provide them is just to go and listen to maybe some of these press conferences. How do they field and handle some of these questions? And I know when you get to good programs like at Tennessee, I do think that there is some media training. So it's not like they're going to throw you out there before you have had a chance to learn. But really, I think at the end of the day, what reporters are looking for is some type of emotion, right? If it's Mike Matthews and his touchdown against ETSU and he's spiking the ball after the touchdown, I'm asking him after the game, like, where did that emotion come from? Like, we're all trying to find kind of who this athlete is as a person. And I think at the end of the day, it's just like, treat us like we're kind of like a new friend, and we want to get to know you, and what would you like to share with the class. So Mike Matthews revealed that he had been praying a lot, really relying on his faith, and that was kind of the culmination of all his hard work and conversations he's had with God. And that ends up being a really great answer, provides great insight to who Mike Matthews is, just beyond the Tennessee wide receiver. So I think when you could maybe take a moment, if you're the athlete, to just relax and realize we're not looking for a gotcha question. We really do just want to know either what led to that great play, what led to the breakdown in that play, how are you overcoming obstacles, how are you succeeding. A lot of the times it's just fact finding and just trying to find, sometimes, a lot of times, a positive side to stories. But you also have to watch what you say sometimes, because there are people who do want to hang on every single word that you say. So I think that's where media training becomes very important, because you want to be intentional with your words. And I think that's something that Joey Aguilar has done a really good job at, being here at Tennessee so far. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate themselves to him, right? Coming from junior college, App State, UCLA doesn't have a ton of media attention. And now you come to Rocky Top and everybody wants an interview, and he's handled that really well. So I would probably say watch some press conferences, see how relaxed they are, and try to emulate that a little bit in their approach.
Boy, the shots yesterday during the game of his family crying in the sideline or in the
Yes.
stands, that was just like, that was beautiful.
Yeah, it was.
You mentioned about we're not trying to do a gotcha moment. Have you ever encountered an athlete who you can see is defensive and might be afraid that there's some kind of a gotcha question coming, almost where you have to kind of um, say something
Well,
to reassure
yeah,
them?
nothing can nothing that's too harsh. I think a lot of people, especially in journalism, do try to take the job seriously, but it can be even something simple as like, George is coming to town. What are you looking forward to? What do you know about Georgia? And the media training will tell them just to obviously talk up your opponent, say great things. Whereas, you can look to, I think it was UNLV, and they're getting ready to take on UCLA, and he's talking about how nothing impresses him about Nico. Sometimes these players will just say it themselves, and it's a great soundbite, but your media training will tell you not to say that. Funny enough, I do think he ended up getting like the game-saving play at the end of that game against Nico and UCLA. So sometimes there are moments like that. Sometimes people might think a gotcha question is just a hard question. Not all players, not all coaches like hard questions, but sometimes they are necessary because journalism is still a job at the end of the day. We try to be friendly, but at the end of the day, like there is still a job to be done. So if it was a poor performance for Tennessee, you have to ask those hard questions, but the players can be as open with their responses as they want to be or not. But sometimes those hard questions that they might think are a gotcha question still have to be asked.
Yeah. How about behind the scenes stuff from your like angle where you're getting that access? Have you gotten to see anything that's pretty cool that most fans would be like, whoa, that was awesome?
As far as like just being on the field with the team, being at practices,
Yeah, like
or just in
heard
my
a
career.
conversation on the sideline or just been privy to something that the general fan, um, if they got to know that side of the thing. I just didn't know, are there any stories like that you'd be like, this is really cool. I've gotten to see this.
Yeah, I think sometimes there's always like small angles. You find them a lot during spring camp or fall practice when maybe players are a little bit more calm. You could see that, a lot in baseball during postseason coverage when you get to spend a little bit more time with the team and kind of see how they interact. Especially that 2024 baseball team that went, I think it was 2024, that went and won the national championship, and getting to travel to Omaha and seeing how the players really interact with each other. Of course, like Kirby Connell and Xander Seacrest, like they just had a great relationship. They were like such great friends on that team, and just their dynamic, I think fans really connected with because again, you want to know the player behind the number, which is really partly why I got into this industry anyway. And I think a lot of people resonate with those types of people and being able to really learn about them. And then, same thing with like Lance Hurd, he spends a lot of one-on-one time with David Sanders Jr. And you could even see while Sanders is injured right now during the second half of the ETSU game, they're on the sidelines together, just hanging out and talking. So it's really nice to kind of see how those friendships within the teams really develop throughout the seasons.
You mentioned David Sanders. So actually one of those kind of behind the scenes things I would have mentioned just from the access I've gotten, I was at On Three, did an On Three Elite event last year where they had like it was maybe 50 guys and they were all 5 and 4 star football recruits. And George McIntyre and David Sanders were two of the guys there. Also Rodarius Jackson. But I got to talk a lot with David Sanders and his family, and so much stuff was just love for Tennessee, even unprompted, even them not seeing that I was a Tennessee fan and talking with them about George. When it came time for David Sanders to commit, it was funny. Like, obviously, I could have been wrong, but from what I had seen, I felt like this is a done deal. This guy, just from what I've seen, he is not going anywhere but to play with George McIntyre. So I was really pleased, and that was a cool experience too.
Yeah, David Sanders was definitely somebody who, at least for me, really impressed me with how well he handled like the first couple of media opportunities he had in front of like all of the media, not necessarily like one-on-one situations. So, sometimes you'll have these players who are really young, who haven't been totally exposed to like what, regional and national media can look like. And he handled and fielded all of the questions like superbly. Like it was fantastic, all of the answers he gave. He, again, as well, was talking really high about Tennessee. And he's like, and if anyone else is thinking about early enrolling, you should absolutely do it. I highly recommend it. And was very complimentary of Lance Hurd and Sam Pendleton. And it's in those kinds of conversations where you do learn a lot about other players. But yeah, he certainly seems like he'd be somebody who is a great ambassador for Tennessee.
Absolutely. Um, Now, what about you personally? What's something very few people know about you?
um I'm not too sure. I try to be a bit of an open book. I mean, I do really enjoy I enjoy running, I enjoy traveling, I enjoy cooking, really into wine and photography. I like to have little hobbies on the side, some that I can just do in the free time, where I get a little bit of that covering Tennessee and such. But just yeah, I've really kind of like just a few of everything. But running probably is my number one passion outside of covering Tennessee.
Yeah. I've seen your videos where you're running and making a video talking about football while you're doing it. That's Is that
So
planned
funny
out, or
you
is that
saw
just
that.
something where you're like, this is just on my mind. I'm going to record it now.
I was trying to be maybe like a little punny because like in my head, like my thoughts never stop running. And I have not been able to find my Apple Watch the last couple of runs. And I had my phone on me. And of course, I'm just thinking about upcoming stories to do and then thinking about Tennessee and whatever else. And I was like, well, I already have my phone and I'm already thinking I might as well share my thoughts while I'm running. So I ended up getting like a decent response on it. So maybe I'll make that a series. We'll see.
Yeah. Um, what about Georgia? What do you think as we're leading
Wow.
into the Tennessee Georgia game?
Yeah, no, I think it should be a really good game. I was already really high on Tennessee in the beginning of the season. I guess one of my bold takes to start the season was I thought the Volunteers could be a 10-win team, and I thought one of those 10 wins, or one of those 10 wins, would come down to the Georgia Bulldogs. I think the schedule favors Tennessee really nicely, being the third game in the regular season, first in the SEC conference play. And what I thought was really interesting when I first started, diving into this game before the season started was Gunnar Stockton's a new quarterback as well. Of course, sat behind Carson Beck, but there's a lot of question marks for that new quarterback. Like, how would he perform in SEC play? How would he deliver it to, kind of the same skill players that are there from last year? And what I've noticed in the first couple of games is that maybe a criticism they have is that he's not stretching the field vertically as much as they maybe would like. Joey Aguilar has been able to do that through two games, and I'd say maybe Tennessee's competition has been a little bit stiffer than Georgia. So I just think what we've seen from Joey Aguilar to start the season, his poise in the pocket and being able to deliver in tight windows, I think are key details that should and hopefully translates well to the Georgia game. And I think I would take the Volunteers in this game. Maybe it's close, but I'll take the Volunteers in this game.
Like to hear that.
Yeah.
And just one last really quick question I was going to ask from the kind of sideline access that you've gotten, and even stuff through spring ball. Is there a leader on this Tennessee football team that you've gotten to see with your own eyes that might not be as well kind of broadcast to the public?
Ooh, okay. Well, that last part, I was gonna say obviously Joey Aguilar.
Sure.
I think he's done a great job coming into this team and really taking over. Obviously Lance Hurd was an interesting one, especially because of the growth that he needed to have had personally first, right? He kind of struggled in his first year with the team, and then taking Sanders under his wing. I'd say somebody else that I really liked, of course, Arion Carter on defense is a fantastic leader, and he has been his whole career here. He is truly such a professional, and especially in front of the media, he just has a great way with his words. But what I really liked is, you could maybe even look to Mike Matthews and Braylon Staley. I think, as much frustration that they might have had their first year not getting a ton of playing time, they've really turned that into like fuel and motivation. They're always in Kelsey Pope's office. They're always going over film, and they're doing a good job of bringing up the young guys around them because it's really just them. And then Chris Brazel's the only veteran player. So I would say Josh Heupel's done a really good job of finding really good character people to be on his team. They're also really good athletes. And I think that's why they have such a strong culture and why each group has a very strong leader within their position group. So great question, but because this team has a lot of good stars on the team, I think there are a lot of good leaders on this team. But probably Lance Hurd being a good leader probably is my most pleasantly surprising development from last season.
Cool. Excellent. I'll tell you one player that I'm really rooting for, local kid, Braylon Harmon. He got some PT
Yeah.
yesterday.
He
So I
sure
was so
did.
glad to see that. And he is to say that he's a good dude also would be such an understatement.
Yeah, it really
So
would.
anytime I get to see him step foot on the field, I'm certainly cheering him on. Um,
Yes.
All right. Well, Paige, thank you so much. I'll tag you and all that good stuff.
Okay, that sounds
Thanks.
good. I appreciate
See
it.
ya. All right. Bye.
Bye.